The Global Forum on Media and Gender, organized by UNESCO, is taking place in Bangkok, Thailand. Almost 400 people coming from the four corners of the world are here to share their experiences and discuss a framework for the Global Alliance on Gender and Media.
The most common pattern we found was one of pervasive low numbers of women journalists in nearly half the countries we studied.
Before we get underway, could I just recognise here the journalists, both men and women, who have given their lives in the service of our freedom of expression.
I believe no one can tell the story of a young person, but rather young people themselves.
I believe that, especially for women in my country now, it's very important to use media well, both traditional and new electronic informational media.
When you look at editorial content, especially in Southern Africa, they constitute just 19% of news sources, and that really worries me a lot.
Another issue is gender may not be the favorite content that a media house or a TV or radio channel want to offer to the audience.
La problématique principale dans notre pays, comme dans d'autres pays, c'est le paradoxe qui existe souvent entre une avancée dans la situation des femmes et leur représentation, notamment par les médias audiovisuels. Donc c'est tous les stéréotypes qui reproduisent les rôles traditionnels des femmes et des hommes, alors que le statut des femmes a changé dans la réalité.
We talk about gender, it becomes a sense issue in our country, because a place is controlled by opposition fighters, militants especially, and the other part is controlled by the government, where if you become a reporter, or a female reporter especially, it meets with sexual violences, rape, everything.
What I found here, listening others, we have many differences between developed countries, from the journalists, women journalists from developed countries and developing countries.
A lot is taken for granted, and yet, and I think it's been said in sessions yesterday, that so many universities do not include gender in journalism education.
We need more women in the positions to affect gender and media. Means more women in the boards, more women as CEOs and chairpersons.
And looking at the amount of work that our gender and media organizations have done in Southern Africa, all the advocacy, all the training for journalists, we have done everything. But the progress is really slow, and I'm wondering whether we will get to where we really want to go.
I worry a lot about the safety of journalists, and I worry about not seeing enough stories about women.
Creating spaces for women to be content makers, women to tell their stories.
So you can see there's a lot of awareness creation. We don't just want to create awareness for them to know, but we create awareness for them to change.
When you think of a young girl who's growing up in a country that's not hers, in a country that doesn't recognize her, she comes from a place that's just next door. She might also have a very varied background. Who's her role model?
They should write blogs. They should really think about their role as role models for their daughters.
Women's voices can only add to what we already know about the world.
In the final session, a framework was adopted to promote gender equality in media.
So that is a new document today that provides a single place to bring together the three outputs that were identified at the outset.
So what is to be noticed is that although the number of directives, recommendations and conclusions, they do constitute a solid legal and policy framework for the media industry.
The reality is that we come to conferences like this full of ideas and enthusiasm, and then this afternoon will end and what happens next.
This is Rajae Hammadi from GlobalGirl Media reporting from Bangkok, Thailand. This is our word and my voice.